Hi, so this is going to be a super quick tutorial on the newly reformulated MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus foundation. This was one of the hottest days of the year, so I made it as quick as possible, so I do apologise if I look slightly solemn and not very engaging. So I'd already done my skincare and I wanted to refresh my skin with the Cosmetics Divine Water. It has been many years since I tried this powder foundation, and because it has been newly reformulated, I wanted to see what it was like. Because it is a medium to full buildable coverage, I like to apply it with a duo fibre brush because it applies slightly less of the product, and therefore I have a little bit more control about how much is going onto the skin and what coverage I'm going to get from this. If you remember, this is a 2-in-1 foundation and setting powder, so you can use it just for setting your foundation, you don't have to use it as a foundation. So the new aspect to this powder is that it has a blur matte finish and 24-hour oil control. And I don't know if you know, but it has 78 shades available, which is probably a little bit overwhelming, but it does mean you'll definitely find something that works for you. I'm using 2 shades. I'm using N12 through the centre of the face, which is neutral beige with neutral undertones for light skin. And then around the circumference of my face to warm up this area, I'm using NW15, which is a light beige with a neutral undertone, again for light skin. Using a mix of 2 different shades really does give a much more natural finish, but it also gives you a slightly bronzy feel in the areas that the sun would naturally hit, so it does look more natural. And when you're going for something that's medium to full coverage, you definitely don't want one flat colour across the face. I don't know if these are available already. There are going to be refills coming for this, which I think is fantastic. It means you don't have to consistently buy the case. It'll always be slightly cheaper to buy a refill that can go inside your case. So as I'm slowly building this up, you can see that there is a very silky texture to this powder on the skin. It definitely gives a blurring and smoothing effect, which is really lovely. However, I haven't worn a matte base for such a long time. I tend to always wear something that's kind of more natural, not too dewy, but just definitely not super matte, and this feels so matte to me, so I really wanted to try out the One Size Powder Melt with this because I've quite enjoyed this just over something light like the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder, but this is so matte and so powdery that I really wanted to give this a go and see how they paired together, especially in today's heat, which is over 30 degrees. The one thing I don't like about this spray is if you get it in your hair, it's like sticky hairspray. I do like the finish of the powder on its own, but unless you're somebody that dermaplanes, which is something I don't personally do, it will always enhance the fine vellus hairs like the little peach fuzz that you have on your face, and therefore it just doesn't look as attractive. So using a setting spray, even if you use something like MAC Fix Plus, which isn't a setting spray, but it's more like the Cosmetics Divine Water, which will just refresh your skin, that will take down that powdery finish sitting on the hairs. The One Size Powder Melt gives a slightly glassier finish to the skin. So if a matte finish is what you're looking for, I would use a hydrating spray that is going to evaporate and leave your skin looking matte again, but without that powdery finish. So again, MAC Fix Plus or the Cosmetics Divine Water or a rose water spray is going to be kind of the spray of choice. This lasted quite well throughout the day. By the time it came to take my makeup off, it did start to look a little bit less than fresh. I think it's one of those ones, it looked a bit lived in, which I didn't love, and that is one of the reasons I don't love powder foundation. It definitely helped to keep oil at bay, which was great, and I like that the One Size Powder Melt gave me a slightly glassier finish. I wouldn't go as far to say that they're the perfect pairing together. I think the hydrating sprays would be better on this powder foundation, but it does mean you would get more of a matte finish. Let me know in the comments if you've tried the reformulated powder foundation and what you thought of it. I will link everything I've used in the description bar. Thank you for watching, hit subscribe if you're new to my channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys!